but I want to take that over like very badly because doing movies is all I want. So I just quit school. Then they ghost me. The film crew they ghost me. So so I lost my job in school. But then I create my own stuff. Like I start to make animations like sci-fi cities and stuff and post on Instagram, ArtStation, on Twitter. Yeah, I was very lucky found by the Ben Marlboro. He hired me for his project to do sci-fi city animations. Then after that, Mishik also found me. So I also do a sci-fi city for Mishik's project.
The brilliant RUI HUANG is your guest for this episode and drops by to share his intriguing insights into his attitude and approach for being a modern digital artist. You may have seen RUI's viral videos of epic sci-fi wonder and too wondered how on earth he made them. And in this episode, RUI reveals some of his secrets and showcasing the power of believing in your artistry even when things seem against you, knowing your vision, taking risks in your career, and his strategy for going viral and building your own brand. Plus much more. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lens Squared podcast. I'm delighted to welcome on a very special guest today, the incredible RUI HUANG. Welcome.
Hey everyone. Amazing to be here.
Oh, wicked. So glad to have you on as well. As we do with every episode, I'll be very grateful if you could just give everyone a quick rundown as to who you are and what you do.
Hi guys, I'm RUI HUANG. I'm a digital artist based on China. I do like sci-fi animations. You can check my work on Instagram or Twitter. #RuiHuangArt. Yeah.
Cool. The links, everybody's listening, will be attached to the episode, so definitely check that out. Again, your work is very jaw-dropping, very eye-catching as well. How long have you been a digital artist? When did this journey start for you?
I think 2021. I think at that time, I was like art student at college.
Okay.
My major was oil painting, and I was learning Photoshop because I think oil painting was too boring for me.
Interesting.
So I started to learn Photoshop. At first, I was learning like portrait, and then I start to learn concept art. And I took a class from John Park, John. Then I realized that I want to do something cool like Star Wars. So I start to take some tutorial from YouTube, like space VFX stuff. The first 3D program is actually Maya for me, but it didn't work out. So I tried Blender, and it crashed a lot in early, but it worked out. So
was that Blender like back in all this happened like around 2021? Or
yeah,
was it a bit of a wait?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So my first render was a planet. And it's cool. I know you are a spaceship lover too, I
am, yes. Do you still have that original render of the planet?
Yeah, and my first animation was like That's a shadow fly through a planet like Death Star,
Uh-huh.
a surface of Death Star. Yeah.
Oh, so is that based on that original Blender project?
No, it was after the render. I did a lot of practice
Mm.
to learn animations. It was on cycles and it renders like 20 minutes a frame. Not like today.
Yeah.
It can render like 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
And
And
sorry, go ahead, please.
go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, like what made you head into oil painting first? Was that like a pathway you wanted to do, or did you feel that was something that you had to do?
Uh, I start painting when I was a child, and in China, when your school score are bad, like my score are bad. I'm a school misfit, like
Okay.
and so you have to be like art students. So in order to get into college
Right.
or like sports student, and so I choose my path as art student, and it's not much choice for me, so I took it.
Interesting. And when did you realize that you found oil painting boring? Because you're creative generally, so I guess was it already like making you? I guess like was it fulfilling your creative, like I guess input, or was it something that you just didn't like from the beginning?
Uh, the beginning was pretty fine, and cause I grew up watching like Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff. Then that's all I want to create.
Yes.
And when I was child, I had the DVD of Star Wars, and there's a second part of like making offs, you know. Then I watched it, and I saw like how they make the R2D2s and how they make that spaceship, and I saw how they design it. And at the time, I wasn't realized that concept art was a career. So like
Mm-hmm.
many cast in your podcast, and then 2021 or at that time I start to like learn like concept art is the thing, and
Mm.
and I got into like art station, and I start to making stuff that I want to create, and I post on social media.
And how did you find the jump from painting to concept art? Was it easy for you, or was it
Nah,
a steep learning curve?
yeah, it's a learning curve.
Mm.
It's Photoshop is not for me. Photoshop,
Even now?
yeah, I it's still buggy for me. I don't know. There's too much like brush and stuff. You have to. There's too much stuff to set up.
Mm. So what's your favorite tool? Is it just, do you only pretty much use Blender, or do you use a few
Yeah,
other things as well?
only Blender
Sick.
and like simple editing program.
Uh-huh. When did you jump onto Maya? Was that something that you were again recommended, or you thought this is the first one I'm going to go to?
Because Maya was like industry standard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I learned Maya first. But I was looking like, but I was looking for like space VFX stuff, but Blender jump on me first. So I started learn Blender like step by step through the tutorial.
So for myself, Maya was my intro to 3D. I actually still miss Maya. Obviously, Blender is the one that I guess a lot of us in the industry use now. I only because I guess how we were taught, I got Maya pretty quickly. Like it was quite comfortable. It was actually enjoyable, just like exploring what these things can do. I guess the little frustrations you have with any new software, I ignored them because I was like, wow, look, I can do this with this, with this, with this. And there's more curiosity. But when I started Blender, I found it like a very difficult to get used to. I was very stop and start.
Yeah.
How did you find Blender? Did you find it easier than Maya, or did you have the same journey as me?
Probably because I didn't find the right tutorial for Maya.
Right.
For me, there's too much there. But when I search like sci-fi Blender tutorial, there's only like few up there, so that I can check out, learn it step by step. That's easier for me.
What version did you start on of Blender?
It was like 2.8
Right.
or 2.7.
And were you like more heavily relying on tutorials at the time, or was it more you exploring in Blender and basically breaking things until it works?
Both.
Mm-hmm. And which way do you prefer? Do you prefer more starting off with a tutorial and going off now, or are you again more like just more of a maverick and just again jumping straight in? I guess a better question is, how fluent are you in Blender now? Like, do you know it very well?
Yeah. I can basically do anything right now except the characters.
Okay, fair enough. When would you say that moment clicked for you? Like, when did you feel? Was it through a project, or was it like a moment where you thought, finally, this is working and this is how I want things to be?
I don't know. At first, Blender was just tool like to do concept art.
Mm-hmm.
You can mix with Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
At first, like I watched like tutorial from the Naughty Dog guys. His name is Florence. He's really good. So I got my first gig from ArtStation. It was a apocalypse game, and the pay was really low. So I was a coach, and it works very well. And I can show you. Can I share my screen?
It should say share
Okay.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like these are my first concept art work.
The client gigs, right?
Yeah, kind.
And how did that opportunity come about? Like, did they approach you, or were you actively looking for work at the time?
They approached me because of this practice.
Sick.
Yeah. Then I got this, and then I did an animation for art contest. So this little animation. Yeah.
How long ago was that piece?
Then this was 3 years ago. Yeah. And then I got approached by Tencent.
Mm-hmm.
Tencent Timmy. They were doing like anime styles Star Citizen.
Okay.
But they got cancelled at the end.
Right.
So I worked at Tencent for 1 year. It was like most weird experience for me because they got like very solid stuff from like MiHoYo, but they don't have an art director.
Right.
Then the whole process is like our artist like just exploring.
Interesting.
for the producers exploring stuff, but it's like strange.
So was it literally just producers and artists, and that's it?
Yeah,
What were the briefs like, or were there no briefs?
it was just he told us to do stuff and what he wants to do. Yeah.
Okay. Do you miss that kind of format, or do you prefer the more traditional one, which would be the art director?
There should be an art director or folks, but right now I'm mostly dealing with client like directly, so and most of them are like no art directors, so I'm used to it right now.
So what's your like, I guess, current like kind of like setup now? Like what kind of work do you do now?
I'm more like CG artist. I do like animations for product or companies, like animations. I think it's that experience that year pushed me to the full Blender workflow.
Right.
You know.
What was your workflow before that?
But before that was mixture of 3D and 2D.
Yeah.
And at that time, I also like watch a lot of podcasts like Art Cafe or Art Department podcast from Ian Usual and GDC stuff to learn like a lot of resource to learn. Sometimes sometimes you can learn the knowledge from different program and combine to your workflow. Like sometimes at that time I was looking for like Sci-Fi City, but there's only like Houdini and the Octane tutorial, but I still watch them, and I have to watch how they do it, then use my Blender knowledge to recreate them.
Interesting.
And yeah, and it worked out.
Did you find that easy to translate from another software to Blender?
It was not easy. It takes time.
Obviously, like Houdini is like insane, and it's got its very particular way of doing things.
Yeah, Houdini is not for average person.
Yeah,
and not for me.
Interesting. Have you ever tried it? I'm assuming you've tried it.
Yeah.
Never got into it, or was it more like I can do this in Blender anyway, so I'm just going to go into Blender?
No, you can't do it in Blender.
Right. So how did you kind of like translate from the stuff that you saw, like in Houdini, for example, to Blender? Was it more like, is your method more trial and error and just seeing what works through experimentation, or do you know exactly like how to translate whatever Houdini wants with either whatever tool Blender has?
No, just roughly translate it.
Right.
Like the miniatures and stuff they did in the late 80s.
Yes.
I also took a few class from Learn Square. The Jones Sweeney one, the cinematic, and the Jama Jurbe. Yeah, he also did an intro to Blender. I think that's very useful. Jones and Pablo Dominguez. I think you also did a podcast with Tim or Mishik. Yeah, and Mishik and Swan.
You're taking a few then.
Yeah, but I didn't like finish them all. I just took the class the part that I'm interested in, and part that I need.
Nice. That's an efficient way to work as well. Like, if you know exactly what you're hunting for and you get it, that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned obviously like that that gig you showed, that work, which was more like the Blender one. That was when you started getting hired, but you also said that's the last time, or that's the first time you started using Blender more. So have you not used your older concept art workflow since? Has it literally since been Blender since?
So after the first year career in Tencent, I got offer from the crew from The Wandering Earth, the movie.
Yeah.
Then so at that time I was 1 year gap from school.
Right.
So I took off to join the Tencent. So there's 1 year limit in school to gap.
Okay.
So I can't gap anymore, but I want to take that over like very badly. Because doing movies is all I want. So I just quit school.
Interesting.
I just quit my college. Then they ghost me. The film crew they ghost me.
Oh no.
So I lost my job in school. But then I didn't lost. I start to create my own stuff. Like I start to make animations like sci-fi cities and stuff. I did in the last project. It was all about like space elevators and sci-fi cities. So I start to create my own and post on Instagram, ArtStation, on Twitter. Yeah, I was very lucky. Found by the Ben Marlboro, So he hired me for his project to do sci-fi city animations. Then after that, Mishek also found me. So I also do a sci-fi city for Mishek's project. So they took me, carry me through this hard time. Then I start to be a CG artist as a career. So, but between that, I also took like several concept art jobs and also some films job. So, but some of them are like those. Yeah, they hire me and but they didn't pay you, that kind of thing. So I think that's every artist who gets through it.
Has that happened to you a lot? Like, obviously, once is enough. Once is a lot, but I'm assuming that's like happened multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. Even they have contract, but still, like they can get very they can get like excuse to not paying.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Did you find that it was more the projects that they were doing were just mismanaged, or a lot of them were just basically crooks and they were just scamming?
Well, some of them are like not legit, but some of them are legit project, but they lost funding. Like they don't have this investment. I don't know how to say, but some of them are legit project,
right?
And legit artists I work with, but just mismanage it.
And has that changed how you take on projects now? Like, do you assess things differently, or is it still the same approach that you had before?
Mm, obvious, yes. I only like the big project or you have to get front payment.
Mm. And do you find that normally most companies or the people that you deal with now are straightforward and be like, yeah, that's fine, we'll pay you upfront a little bit? Or do you still get some kind of resistance? Or do sometimes you still get kind of a feeling like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, but then sometimes it works out?
Unless you are like very big company, like Tencent or anyway, like big companies,
Mm.
or you have to front pay me. Yeah,
Right. You've always been freelance, is that right?
yeah, yeah.
So what was your first, like, I guess, instance which kind of like shocked you as a freelancer in a negative way? Was it ones where they like didn't turn up or didn't pay you?
Mm, yeah, that didn't pay me the film project. They are like legit artists. They are like artists I admire to work with, but yeah, they promise you like a lot of things, then just disappoint you.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very sad. But it's mostly like Chinese project. But if there's like a foreign project, it's always I always got paid.
And you mentioned there, which was, I respect it as well in multiple ways. When you said you quit school and you said basically you took a chance. And I guess at that point in time, it didn't pay off. I'd love to know a bit more about that time. Like, what was it in? Obviously, I guess it's like never an easy decision, but what was going through your mind? What kind of conversations were you having with yourself when you were considering quitting school?
Mm, it was when I realized that the no, I didn't doubt it because that's all I always wanted to do, and I don't have choice.
What was the news like when you broke it to the school? Were they just like, okay, fine, or did they like say, what are you doing? Like, you should stay. Did anyone try and convince you otherwise?
Yeah, they first thought I got scammed. The
Right.
school
Okay.
side,
Okay. Okay.
they thought I got scammed, but but I convinced them because
Hmm.
I got a lot of I got a lot of proof to convince them. And if you and if you like, I can't I can only get like few job as oil painting when I graduate, like only like be a teacher or teacher, just teacher. Yeah, that's like
And like you said, you always wanted to work on films,
mm,
right? From a young
yeah,
age, or did that emerge later?
from young age. I think that's every artist want to do.
Yes, definitely. You mentioned as well that the opportunity fell through. What was that like? So you made this big decision to quit school, and like you just said, that that's something you wanted to do. So it made sense to do that. But then when it fell through, did that bring doubt back into your mind, or did it almost motivate you further?
Mm, yeah, I was doubting myself, but then I move over. Like, yeah.
And how long was that wait when you'd left school, that opportunity fell through? What was the gap like before you started getting hired again?
Mm,
How long was it?
I think few months.
And did you, in that time, were you more like, because some people react in different ways. Some, the shock of that, it can like just make them not depressed, so to speak, but more like in a negative mind state. where you don't want to do anything and just thinking like, oh, what's happened? What have I done? For others, it almost goes the complete opposite, where they're like, okay, this has happened. I need to go 200% now and work harder than I did before. Where do you fall into that when these kind of things happen?
I can't agree remember because that was the time I want to move on and forget about those experience. But
Mm,
I think it was pretty easy for me because at that time, like my skill was pretty unique and it was uh, it was not really hard for me.
mm,
Yeah, and the industry was thriving at the time,
mhm.
so I didn't worry much about it.
Interesting. And what was your projects like at the time? Like, what kind of things were you working on? Was it still the sci-fi stuff and your own personal universe?
Uh, at that time,
Yeah.
it was just like exploring stuff, see what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a story at the time.
Mm.
Until like 2023 or last year, I started doing my own story stuff. Yeah.
How would you describe your style of work? How, like, you personally, like, when you think of it?
Mm, that's interesting because I can't I can't describe it.
Nice.
I think no one can describe it. That's what I think is unique.
So, like you mentioned there, like no one can really describe it. For some, it might be a case of they do want to go into a pocket where it's like a very specific thing. But for yourself, do you like the fact that it's like in that middle area where it doesn't really have like a specific label and it can just be
Yeah,
its own thing?
yeah, I like it.
Mm.
Mm, I think it's like early 2000s or yeah, the video games like Halo.
Mm.
I think my style was like that. When the time they don't have ray tracing, so it was
Mm.
purely art direction, 3D works by artists.
And is that the kind of same philosophy you've stuck with now?
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah. I think no ray tracing is one of my advantages
Uh-huh.
because everyone is using ray tracing to save time, or even AI. I don't do that.
Sick. And now, like, would you say, are you fixed into your workflow now? Like, is this obviously workflow will always evolve, it'll always adapt, you'll always add new things over time. But would you say like this is your voice? This is the kind of way you want to create and where you want to present your worlds and your animations now?
Yeah,
Nice.
I will adapt when the tool is more controlled.
Mm.
You know.
So you mentioned the word control. What I like and what I find mesmerizing about your works, particularly like the animations and what's going on in there, like it's a lot of amazing chaos. There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of like spectacle that goes on. You can look at any section and just be wowed by it. How do you don't have to reveal this if it's revealing secrets, but how do you maintain control over that whole scene? Because I guess it can get like, quite chaotic and you can almost lose the essence of the piece, if that makes sense. So how do you maintain control when you're doing such epic scale things?
Mm, it was years of fucking around and find out. You know.
Sick.
And back in like 23 or 22, I was doing sci-fi cities. I started doing sci-fi city as a career, so and at first my renters was like 2 hours a frame,
I remember those days.
Oh, I can share my screen. Like, and wait, yeah. This was after my first gig.
Oh, nice.
This one for NetEase. This one took like 2 months. uh, and there's like a few hours to render, and it got me learn a lot
Uh-huh.
of optimization skills. Like you have to render the front and the separate front and middle and background, then combine together at post, then do a little bit in Photoshop. Like so years of learning how to optimize it in the process.
Sick. That brings back memories for sure. I remember, especially in Maya, like
Yeah.
just rendering almost, and I had a very old GPU at the time. This is before I even had a 1080. It just took so long. This is just a single image, right? And I just remember like trying all those things you just mentioned as well. And I almost like left it behind because I was like, it's just gonna take too long, or I'm not gonna be end up like, getting the look that I want. So what made you not go down my path where you kind of let it go? Like what made you persist and make your workflow strong enough to be able to get the detail that you want in?
I use a lot of technique. Like after that, I watch a lot like behind the scenes from films,
Mm.
like miniature stuff. So I also translate those skills, like how they make the Blade Runner. They use like Keybatch and Fox and the cardboard plans to extend the scene. So I also use those techniques, and also a lot from matte paintings. So a lot of my work in my works, a lot of you watch my viewports, and
Mm-hmm.
there's only like planes, simple planes, so it's like only images on alpha. So it's really just how to optimize the scene in the mindset of as if you are a VFX supervisor, and like how you have to save budget.
That definitely sounds like a lot of behind the scenes talk. Like a lot, all you hear in
So
all the behind the scenes is we did this and budget,
yeah,
we did this and budget, and obviously it's like a constant dance or a battle between the two. So it's interesting that you kind of like took that on board for your own work as well, which I guess makes sense.
yeah.
And how do you art direct? Like obviously, I imagine, especially with the power of Blender now, like you can almost do things real time and adjust things on the go. But when you're doing like, your big cityscapes, do you start off with a sketch? Is it all in your head? Do you plan before you start? Or is it like a musician with an instrument and you just start playing and then see what comes out?
Both,
Mm.
both. Like sometimes I have very clear visions, and sometimes it's just exploring and make happy accidents.
Of all of your pieces, speaking of happy accidents, which one has the happiest accident in there?
Let me screen here. I think it's this one.
Oh, really?
It's a very early. I was like testing textures and some simple shapes, and I got this very epic shot, and also went viral.
Oh, mate. Speaking of viral, I think But yeah, let's talk about your viralness. When did you start going viral? Was this the first piece that went viral, or was it another one?
This was the piece that I realized I have to go get my exposure I deserve. Cause someone like steal my work. They steal this piece.
Really?
They steal it on other social platform and got like millions of views. So I realized I have to post my works
Uh-huh.
on more social platforms. Yeah, so I start to post everywhere.
Interesting. So it's basically piracy that triggered you
Yeah,
to go down that road to
yeah.
push your work out there.
And I think that's every artist should do.
Were you like that before? So before that moment happened, what was your relationship like with social media? Was it just a case of like, I'm just going to put work up there and that's it?
Before that, I was only posting on X, Twitter.
Right, right.
Then I started to posting everywhere, like TikToks and YouTube, and yeah.
And what was your like, when did this happen? Like how long ago did this adventure start?
It was at a time like 2 or 3 years ago. Beginning, it was like no views, like everyone like no views. You have to exploring the algorithm by yourself. You have to know how to tag stuff and how every platform works.
And did you approach that the same way as you did with your art? Like, did you? Because obviously, social media algorithms are a bit weird. Like, there's tutorials out there, but they're not really informative. And there's more like you learn by just doing things yourself. So, did you go down the same route where you like looking at tutorials, looking for advice, or did you just jump head first and figure it out that way?
You just learn from the best. Like you have to look for who has most exposure, like which artist did best, and you learn from it. Like you can basically just copy the text and put it on your artworks. And yeah.
And you mentioned you saw that post taken from yourself and reshared elsewhere, and it got a lot of views. How long did it take when you started doing your own thing to get similar views?
I think a few months or when I start to like posting on TikToks at the beginning, it was like it went viral too, yeah. But then it got a bit silence after that because it was always the same thing. Because I realized that you can't always posting your old stuff. You have to create new things.
And did that drive you to make more? So I guess like, did you find that pushing yourself on social media made you work more, or was it more you wanted to make more and put it on social media, if that makes sense? I guess like who was motivating who? Was it social media motivating RUI, or was it RUI motivating your social media push?
Social media. I like to see how people respond, and I want to seek my own audience. You have to look for your own audience. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely key. Like, because if you're chasing another audience, then it just becomes tedious. It becomes work, and is like, it just doesn't click. I find like you just find that it's a very annoying and unfruitful path to go down. But yeah, chasing your own audience, that is the one, because you're in control then. Of the different social platforms, do you have a favorite one, or do you see it as a whole thing?
I don't have everyone, but I think Instagram is good, but I didn't get any profit from it because it didn't get Chinese royalties.
Interesting.
But I got most followers there.
Okay. So yeah, with that, like, how have you taken the next adventure on? Because obviously, one thing about getting a social media following, as you've just highlighted, is you can get a lot of followers, you can get a lot of views, but sometimes that's all it ends up as, just this number that says, a lot of views and a lot of followers. How do you translate that into either a business side of things or turning it into something profitable or productive? Have you been looking at that side of things as well?
I think it's very important for business side because not only clients are on like our stations, but most of like producers and directors uh, are watchers like TikTok or Instagram. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of work through Instagram and TikTok?
Yeah, a lot commissions from TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
And you've given a few insights there. Obviously, a lot of people listening, especially with artists, and obviously, like you said yourself, before you started doing your social media push, it was more like a case of posting the odd thing here and there. A lot of people obviously just have this either very strange relationship with social media, an untrusting one, or they just feel like it's more of a chore. But at the same time, as you'll understand, is as artists, it's a very powerful tool for us because it can lead to work, it can lead to exposure more than anywhere else. What advice or tips, based on obviously the successes that you've had, would you offer to people that who are in that situation of not knowing what to do with their art and social media?
My best advice is don't listen to anyone's advice. You have to explore your own. You have to find your own way because algorithms they'll get you if you are copying other artists. Yeah, it won't work if you just took others took others way to marketing. The algorithm and the audience will find out. It's only unique will stand up.
When you're making, like, I guess, do you make specific projects only for social media?
Mm, uh, you have to. I I make stuff for myself, but you have to arrange it so it will work out on social medias. Like you have to do it on portrait. Portrait. You have to make it short and eye catching. I don't know, but it's a lot of try and error. So you works on your stuff.
And even now, would you say you're still doing that same trial and error, or would you say you found your own lane, you found your own way of doing things, and it works?
Actually, if you keep doing like similar stuff, the views are actually dropping because people audience don't like same stuff, and so you have always have to try new things.
And sorry,
you have to invest in yourself, like you have to invest in your gears, and you have like collab with other artists for your project, like how those big channel did, Mr. Beast. I think that's how he succeed. Like he puts his money on his next project, and he become like bigger and bigger and bigger. and now he's putting millions or $1 million on one episode, and no one can compete that.
And of like, say, just a little geek out on just social media in general, and even like understanding what are the not just algorithm, but like your own personal algorithm of like what you want in your content. Which metric do you rely on, or do you like look at them more? Because obviously you got like reach, you got views, you got likes, and all that, followers, for example. Which one is the most important for you?
Uh, it depends on platforms. And so Instagram, I actually don't care. I just post stuff on there, but I don't know. It seems like Instagram has very powerful algorithm for artists, but other platforms you have to do like very unique stuff to, or you have to put like very interesting title or cover to let people watch your stuff. Uh, for other platforms, I think followers are more important, and because they some of platforms they show you stuff first for followers, then non-follower viewers. But for Instagram and TikTok, they show your work for like random peoples. That's how it works.
Mm.
General, I think
Mm.
followers are most important because they are your real audience, and they are the people that are supporting you. Yeah.
And how is your relationship with the audience? Because I know you've I don't know if it's recent, but you have obviously a Patreon as well. Like, have you found it rewarding having an audience and connecting with them and providing for them as well?
Yeah, sometimes they give me suggestions, and
Mm.
and I think that's very important for encourage you to keep creating. They also, if you got enough followers, they also help you to like solving problems and fight haters. Yeah.
Do you get a lot of haters?
uh, a few, yeah. Sometimes I get haters.
Is there like a common kind of hate, or is it just the general negative energy that comes when you have popularity?
Mm, both. Some of them are like just expressing like negative vibes, but some of them are because my popularities. Yeah, some of them are jealous.
Mm. Did you expect that, or did you kind of see it? Like, because obviously it basically comes with the package, I guess. Not saying that you have to like put up with it, but did you foresee this? Like, did you expect that? Okay, now I'm getting a lot of attention. I'm going to get this kind of stuff too, or did it surprise you?
Mm, obvious is surprising at first, then you have to get used to it. You have to prepare it.
Mm.
But I think best solution is to block them. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the best tools of social media, I guess. The power of blocking.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and but back to your work as well. Like, obviously, you mentioned some renders took hours and hours and hours for a frame, for example. Um, how long does it take now? Like, what's your, I guess, is it a hardware setup, or is it more just Blender's so powerful now?
So hardware is one thing. It helps, but you have to optimize it. That's that's how that's how most most part is about render times. You have to optimizing it. You have to know how render works. Like uh, mm, like you can put like high resolution textures or HDRIs and very high geometries. So I'll optimize those. And right now, my animations are rendered like I try to put it under 10 seconds per frame. That's how my animation renders right now.
Oh, cool.
It's usually like 10 frames under 10 frames. And you have to play real time in real pose. That's my standards now. Yeah.
And is it Eevee or Cycles?
Eevee. Also, Ian Hubert, I think his stuff very useful. I forgot to mention that if you are trying to learn Blender. And do you know this new animation movie called Flow?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard of it.
It's done in Blender EV. Yeah, and it just got the Golden Globe.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday or today or whenever it is. Like, yeah, it just won the award. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good for Blender as well. Like, it kind of puts it on the map globally as well.
I think, and also the guy did best animation short. I think who's the guy? He did like first Spider-Verse. The director, you know his name?
Oh, Alberto.
Yeah, Alberto.
Alberto Miyago.
Yeah, his short film was done in Blender too, and got the Oscars.
Of course, yes. Yes. That actually skipped my mind. I forgot that was even in Blender. I was so like just fixated on the story that you just forget the tool. And I guess that's what a good story is, right? Like a good film. Like obviously we mentioned Star Wars, we mentioned all these things, and it's great to geek out, especially if you're creative, about how these things work. But I'd love to hear your opinion as well. But for the viewer, especially the ones that don't care about the technical side of things, if it just connects to them and they enjoy it, that's all that matters. So what do you think of the viewer when you're making your stuff? Like, are they, obviously, like you said before, like you got to do what you want to do, which is your lane. But how much of the viewer is part of your creative process, if that makes sense? Like, do you think of them a lot when you're making your stuff? And do you think, okay, this is going to be cool for my audience?
Yeah.
Or is it purely indulgence and just what you think is cool?
You have to get the quality there, so they don't disappoint you. And then just do stuff I want to create. Yeah.
And just back to Blender talk and the industry in general. Where do you see it going now that obviously Flow has won an award, and I'm sure we'll do more going forward as well? What do you predict the industry will be like, or at least the industry's relationship with Blender, maybe even social media as well? Like, what do you foresee based on your experience?
So the last two film projects I worked on, like they're all like very high project. They're all using Blender and AI in pre-production. So, and I believe the game studio are also doing that. Yeah.
So you see it's a blend of the two going forward.
And I think if you want to stay in this industry, either you have to be like very best in your area, or you have to learn AI too. Yeah, you have to adapt.
And what's your personal take on AI? Like, what's your relationship with it right now? Obviously, you mentioned that you have to work on it through projects and stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
It's just a tool. Yeah, it's like the time, like 90s, when CGI was invading the VFX industry. So I was watching the behind the scene of Jurassic Park yesterday, and I saw like when Spielberg saw the CGI test from ILM, then he switched to CGI immediately
Right.
after watching that demo. But they were already doing a lot of miniature work from like Stanton Studio, you know that they do animatronic, but they still keep them because they did like they did a rig so the puppeteer puppeteer guy could do the stop motion rig, then on the animatronic rig, then transferring to computer. So they combine both technique. I think that's really like the industry right now. So you have to adapting. You have to do whatever best for your work, for your shot.
And speaking about films, you mentioned two amazing films that are very near and dear to myself as well. Jurassic Park being one of them, and obviously Star Wars as well. Obviously, your main go-to genre is sci-fi, of course. How old are you when you first discovered Star Wars? Was Star Wars your first, I guess, experience to sci-fi, or was it something else?
Yeah, Star Wars, obviously, but it was like before I was 10, you know.
Wow.
Very early, yeah.
And what was it like? Like, did it? Because sometimes you watch things, and you, especially as a kid, for sure. Like it's like, okay, this is cool, this is wow. And there's sometimes with certain things it's a little bit deeper. What was your first initial experience? And did you watch them in order, or did you watch them in different orders? For myself, for example, my first Star Wars film that I watched was, I think, Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. I didn't watch them in order, and I realized afterwards that there's a different order. But yeah, did you watch them in order?
I think I only have the prequel at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I watched the prequel first, and the episode 1 was my favorite, I think, because that's the only DVD I got at the time.
Right.
So episode 1, I love the spaceship and the scene where big monster eat small monsters under the sea. You know, the scene that was very
right. Yeah. That's a cool ship.
The R2D2. Yeah, the prequel. It was actually an actor inside. Yeah, and they actually built all the also the race port in the Jordan desert. That was very interesting for me. Yeah.
So, like, obviously, when you watch things, I don't know how it is for yourself, but I guess, like, at least from my perspective, you can watch it with two identities. You watch it as like a normal, I guess, human identity, where you just watch it as like a fan, and then there's another one where you watch it as an artist, as a creative, where you almost like a detective, and you're trying to figure out how things were done, how they did this, or how you can almost take the essence and use it for your own things. In episode 1 in particular.
So back then, it was watching as a kid. I'm not an artist at the time,
right?
But right now, I will look for the designs and the VFX technique, how they use it, so and analyze it. And also, I'll look for the concept art and art books of films. I got a lot of art books. You know, the Rob McCrory books and Doc Chan. And I was very lucky recently. I got to commission like Ryan Church for my short films. You know, have you watched my short film like It got a very big shit at the end, and
I think, yeah, is that the latest one?
uh, the ship fly through a wormhole in the city.
Escape Velocity one, yeah?
Uh, yeah, but also in my early short film, the same ship. So Ryan Church was he did some early sketch for this ship.
Oh, wicked.
And also, Alex Jar Brady
Sick.
did sketch for it too.
That's some serious talent right there.
Yeah, but I was looking for very Star Wars styles and the more heavy style. So, but I did took some inspiration from his early sketches. Yeah, but the final one turns out great.
That's incredible. So how have you found like working with fellow artists, like basically collaborating with them and hiring them? How's that journey been?
It was going great, like very smooth because you are an artist too, you know,
Exactly.
and I always like pay them first, yeah, after what I've been through.
And do you see yourself doing that more? Like, do you have more plans for more short films? Like, I guess you want to make a whole, you know, do you want to make a feature length at some point?
If you not not in the recent future, no, but
Okay,
if you wait, if I got like more budget and crew, I'll do it.
sick. So if you had the budget and crew right now, do you have an idea in mind, or would you happily figure it out?
I don't think doing like full length is it's a good choice right now because
Okay.
the market and the I don't think the company will invest in that.
Mhm.
So I think shorts are only only goals right now.
Mm. And how do you see that? Like, do you have a plan for your shorts at the moment? Like, do you have like a
Uh,
roadmap for what you want and what you want to do?
I have I have for next shot and I got some few ideas
Sick.
too. Yeah.
And do you want to explore other themes away from sci-fi, or is this the kind of language you want to express yourself in now?
Only sci-fi. Yes. I don't think
Are you
I don't think doing other things are good. Like I think that's wasting talent. You know, I I was
interesting?
uh, your own wrong cop.
Yes.
Uh, I remember watching his art book and saw like Middle East stuff. Like someone hired him to do it, and it was very bad.
Right.
And I can see how he had to dealing with stuff that he doesn't like. And I also watched a lot story of behind the scenes that directors doing stuff he's not good at it.
Mm,
Obviously, it turned out not good.
mm. You're not tempted at all, even to see like, okay, if I put
Mm,
my hands on that, it might be good, or do you definitely know what you need to do?
uh, I recently just got a freelance job, like doing a fantasy animation for MiHoYo. Uh, uh, Obviously, I think it's enough for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Um, you mentioned, obviously we mentioned a few things, and so you mentioned like the classics that you look back on, and rightly so. Like they're just the good news is, and the good thing is, in our age, like they do document the making of things, so you can go back and look at things as well. What about more recent times? Maybe peers or recent projects? Which ones have inspired you and motivated you to do more, or just even generally just be inspired?
Ian Huber's short films, I think that inspire a lot of indie creators. And
Yes.
Jamie Jaso, he did a sci-fi short film by his own, and that inspired me as well. So those indie creators are really inspiring me.
And is it more about what they're creating or how they do things?
It's just the story that about themselves creating for them own that inspires me.
Yeah.
And also Star Citizen. Star Citizen, they also like doing their own thing and find their own audience, and they doing it as crowdfunding, and they ignore the hate voice, then keep doing their own thing, doing their best, and they got what they deserve right now. So that also inspires me. So you have to keep doing your own things.
I really like how you describe that there, especially like the appreciation for indie creators. And I like, what's your take on it? Because I have my own perception. I'm not an indie creator myself, but I think that's going to be like it is an emerging market, but also just I see more people going to end up, whether they choose to or they don't choose to, end up becoming indie creators, because there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of people who have great ideas, and tools are more accessible now. But as an indie creator yourself, would you agree with me, or would you say it's a little bit more different than that?
It's obviously gonna be more and more indie creator because the tools are more advanced now.
Yeah.
So, but you have to got the taste and fundamentals to create thing that's like pro level to get keep up to the standards. Yeah.
And final question for myself before we wrap up. Anything we can look forward to you in the recent future? Or anything you want to reveal? Or should we just wait until you drop something awesome?
I do a new short film this year, and I also have a solo exhibition next week on Singapore. Yeah. And I'll do more like exhibitions and short films in the future. You can look for that on my social media.
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Before we head off, any final words or thoughts from yourself to the listeners?
Do what you love, and don't listen to anyone that's stopping you. Yeah.
Amazing. Rui, I'm so happy that we did this. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thanks so much for inviting me. It's so much pleasure to be here. Thank you.
A massive thanks to Rui for an incredible episode. Hit the links to check out his work and see what he's up to, and to give him a follow. Then head to learnsquare.com and check out our courses just like Rui did, and take your artistry to the next level. I've been your host, Aaron Danda. Till next time.